now I'd like to call upon for the final summary of the Affirmative team's case, and indeed for the advanced section of the ISAY debating competition, Mr. Chen Liu.
Free tertiary education paves the yellow brick road for a richer New Zealand society. There seems to be some confusion tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You see, we, the Affirmative, thought that this was the ISAY debating final. See, the negative obviously thought this was the ISAY stand-up comedy hour. And we just took the negative team's case as a bunch of jokes. To answer the question of who has won this debate, you only have to look at 3 points. Number one, the problem, which is probably the single fundamental flaw of the negating team's case. They have not denied my proof that the brain drain is causing economic stress in New Zealand. They have not denied my proof that New Zealand's economy, our society, our education is suffering because of the brain drain. They haven't even denied the brain drain. In fact, they said that it exists. So therefore, when you admit as a negative team that there is a problem, when you admit that there is an issue, you must show how it is being done, how it is being solved, or how it should be solved. As Luke suggested, a counter-proposal was needed by the negative team. To simply admit that there is a problem, to implicitly state that there is a problem, and then to not show us the solution is the way of losing for a negative team. Because all that has been presented today is an affirmative team proposal. So therefore, as an adjudicator, you can only see one proposal. So therefore, that proposal, as nothing else has been presented by a negative, must be the one to solve the problem. This has probably been the single fundamental flaw by the negative team. Now, secondly, our proposal. What has been the key components, and how has the negative tried to bring this down? Now, firstly, this 15 years argument has been tossed back and forth and back and forth. They said that skilled people may want to change their minds within the 15 years. Our proposal caters for this. It doesn't deny people changing from a medicine degree to a business degree. It doesn't deny people changing from a law degree to a health science degree. They can still do this under the existing system. There's no lack of freedom, ladies and gentlemen, that the negative team are trying to push. And now, I'm going to prove this big point. They need to listen to our definition of the proposal. I said 15 years after attaining the qualification. So before attaining the qualification, if they find a venture overseas, if they find they can get a degree to work overseas, they can, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing in the proposal prohibits that. Now, our implementation. They've talked about how it will be difficult to control movement of people. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we don't live in a zoo. We don't just enter and leave our country willy-nilly. There's no border control, ladies and gentlemen, as highlighted by Matthew. We control movement of people. It's happening right now. What do you think the Immigration Service is doing, ladies and gentlemen? Now, the fact that this targets this component of our proposal, which targets the high end of qualifications first, as we have mentioned, this has been largely untouched by the negative team. We have said that this will provide an immediate benefit for the economy because we are targeting those occupations that will contribute most to the New Zealand economy in the short term. Now, they have not even touched on this, so therefore admitting that this link still exists, thereby admitting that yes, it will contribute to your economy if we target the high-end qualifications first. So, with our proposal, what we have proven is there exists freedom of will, this option. They can change within this course of study. It's only after they've attained the qualifications that the 15 years start. There's feasibility in our case, which I'll discuss later on in the letter reply. And finally, implementation. Border control will hold up. If it doesn't, then this country will be invaded by immigrants as it is, which it does not, ladies and gentlemen, thereby prove that it works. Now finally, our third point, which is the causal links. Incentive. Perhaps the negative team's line is they won't sign the contract, which is probably sums up their entire case. Now, as we have already shown you, in the Army, where a similar initiative is occurring, this is working to provide more people to join the Army. So already, a similar type of program is already working. Now, seeking the scholarship argument brought up by the negative team. A, scholarships only target a very small proportion of the population. A very small portion. In Auckland University, only 20 to 30 scholarships are awarded per scholarship. And secondly, no scholarships are fully paid. If you go onto the University of Auckland, the scholarship that I'm currently applying for does not pay for all my university tuition if I get it, and it pays for 3 years. So it needs to show us which scholarships, which universities do these scholarships exist in. And there was some mention about them being tagged for you to stay in New Zealand. For that to come at the 3rd minute of the letter's reply is highly, highly inadequate. And finally, they talk about this higher pay overseas. Why should we bother with this if they can get $2 million overseas just to compensate for $60,000 loan? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot solve this problem because of economies of scale of 4 million people. We cannot merge with Australia to become a super state. So, with this problem existing, our proposal aids to alleviate that problem. We have never stated that it will completely eradicate movement of people overseas. We've never stated it will completely solve the immediate flow of people from New Zealand to overseas. Now, our economic feasibility argument has also been untouched by the negative team. Why? Because their entire case has been dependent upon this, they won't sign the contract. They have not disproved any of our cases past that point. So, our educational and social benefits that we've outlined have not been touched. How professors will stay in New Zealand to increase the level of education in our universities, not touched. How more brighter people improve New Zealand society, not touched by the affirmative. So in conclusion, Auckland Boys Grammar has most certainly lost their grip on the silverware. For those reasons, ladies and gentlemen, Ernest Rutherford is proud to say.